Hey, you little can of meat sauce. It's August 28th, 2022, and evidently someone on my last video suggested that I produce a video regarding the Great Salt Lake and its current developments of depleting itself due to man-made, human-induced, anthropogenic climate change. I'm going to start with an article from ABC News, so we'll go mainstream and then we'll go to the actual science here in a moment. But the headline reads, this was published just last month, July 18th, Great Salt Lake dry up causing dangerous climate ripple effect, ecologists say. The Great Salt Lake has lost 2/3 of its size due to rising temperatures, and scientists say this is already caused by a dangerous ecological ripple effect through Utah. The water body, which is approximately 75 miles long and 30 miles wide, is known to be the largest saltwater in the Western Hemisphere, then feeds into nearby rivers, but it's now 1/3 its usual size and still shrinking. Ecologists have been watching this climate change-induced trend, told ABC News that the dry up is already affecting Utah's fauna, flora, and human populations, and the problem is only going to get worse. Quote, I don't know how much time we have left. Joel Ferry, the director of Utah's Department of Natural Resources. More than 800 square miles of the river has been exposed due to the dry up, according to experts. Ferry, a fifth-generation rancher and state representative, said he has personally been affected by the drought. Ferries land on the Bear River, which is the largest tributary in the Great Salt Lake. Normally, the river flows enough water to rise lake levels up to 3 feet during the peak of the season. This year, the water is only up by 1 foot, which is problematic because water levels usually drop 2 feet during the end of the season, according to the ferry. The problem is, quote, is a shallow lake. There are not that many more feet to go, he said. Kyle Stone, a wildlife biologist at the state of Utah, told ABC News that animals and plants near the lake are already bearing the burden of a dry up. As the water goes down, its salinity goes up, which kills algae, a food source for the brine shrimp. He said the shrimp is food to more than 10 million birds that depend on the lake during migration, according to Stone. They've got to get from the central Canada to central Argentina or southern Mexico without a stopover point. You just can't do it. You've got to refuel somewhere. Birds that do stop in the area are now prone to attacks from coyotes and other predators who have more land to traverse, according to Stone. Robert Gillies, a climatologist from Utah State University, told ABC News that the dry up also affects people, even those who don't live near the water. I won't go on much further because what he is recommending is that we guide farmers to install drip irrigation systems into the soil that pushes water narrowly among the plants. It's good for plants like lettuce, tomatoes, pumpkins, those kind of plants. There's also a $40 million plan earlier this year to create a water trust to maintain and improve water flow to the lake. And U.S. Senator Romney introduced the Great Salt Lake Recovery Act, which would study historic drought conditions and protect long-term health. Ferry said the work needs to be done, and the federal work and state government need to make more years of investments to prevent the problem from getting worse. Quote, without managing our water appropriately, life in the West doesn't exist. Next, I'm going to scoot over to the European Space Agency because I feel like that is a rather credible source, ESA.int. This post was published in Applications January 8th, 2022, has over 18,000 views. It should have, close to 1 million. But we don't live in a society which encourages intelligence, critical thinking, or cleverness. Indeed, stupidity rules the world. I am absolutely certain of this now. And the examples are plentiful. Let's go on with the article. The headline reads, Utah's Great Salt Lake dropped to its lowest recorded water level last month as a mega drought persists across the U.S. Southwest, forcing the fast-growing city to curb its water use. From space, satellite images show how water levels have fallen from 1985 to 2022, exposing large expanses of lake bed. According to the data from the U.S. Geological Survey, the Great Salt Lake surface water elevation fell to the lowest level since records began in mid 1800s to an average of 1277 meters above sea level. As a result of this drop in water level, the lake has lost nearly half of its surface area from the historical average, exposing 2,000 square kilometers of lake bed, the area the same size as Tenerife. What's this? It's an island in Spain that's 785 square miles. Why they chose that island? I guess, yeah, because of size. Anyways, the lake now contains little more than 1/4 of the volume of water as it did in the high point in 1987, according to the Geological Survey. Water usage and the climate change drought are two of the main reasons behind the lake's decline. The lake goes through seasonal cycles of water loss and replenishment after rain and snow melts fill it back up. According to the officials, the water evaporation and depletion exceed the amount of water entering the lake. The lake's water levels are expected to further decrease until autumn or early winter, when incoming waters equals or exceeds the evaporative losses. Let's hope. And then there's a satellite image exposing large expanses. I'm going to slide this. You see 1985 on the left, 2002 on the right, 1985, 2022. Okay, you get it? The declining waters of Salt Lake City poses devastating consequences for the economy, ecology, and people of northern Utah. The lake generates snowpack, acts as a refuge for hundreds of migratory birds and other wildlife, and generates millions in economic development through mineral extraction and tourism. The Great Salt Lake is the largest saltwater lake in the Western Hemisphere and one of the most saline inland bodies of water in the world. As the lake shrinks, it becomes saltier, which endangers the flies and brine shrimp, which millions of birds rely on. Declining waters also impact the local air quality. As the bottom of the lake dries up more, lake bed exposed, dry soil leads to increase of dust in the air. The dust is laced with copper, arsenic, and other heavy dangerous metals that have accumulated in the lake, much of it being residue from mining activity in the region. These can, over time, pose a public health hazard when dust storms carry them into populated areas, causing respiratory illnesses. This shows the average aerosol concentration near the open areas of the lake bed produced from the Copernicus Sentinel 5P satellite from June 1st to July 15th. Not pleasant. Another factor contributing to the lake's dropping water levels is the reduction in ways that the lake regains water. Water is redirected from the streams that feed the lake each year to agriculture in nearby residential areas. Water is redirected from the streams, meaning the lake cannot easily replace the water it loses via evaporation. Increased water demand due to the growing number of population in the Salt Lake City is another reason why behind its desertification. Utah is the fastest growing state in the U.S. and is projected to increase by almost 50% by 2060. I have no words. The image below is from the World Settlement Footprint to highlight the urban expansion of Salt Lake City occurring from 1985 to 2019. The World Settlement Footprint is the most comprehensive data set on human settlement created to improve the understanding of current trends in global urbanization. We move to a new place and we settle there.
You move to an area and you multiply and multiply until every natural resource is consumed.
And extract all resources. Infinite growth, a cancerous ideology. Oh joy. Okay, hope this satisfied you and you got something out of it. Don't move to Utah, or the West for that matter. Maybe you can go up to the Pacific Northwest, but it's going to be really crowded. Yeah, really crowded. Talk to you later, folks. Have a good week.